Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Marketing 101 for Service Professionals. This week is a great guest, longtime friend, Travis Corcoran. He's a DC, believe it or not, in the Netherlands, and he's got some cool stories to tell you. And that's what we're going to do today. Today's more of a fun podcast. Thanks for being here, Travis. Appreciate you.
Pleasure, man. It's good to see you again, buddy.
Yeah, we'll go through it. Tell us a little bit about you. Where did what got you into chiropractic? How did you get to Palmer? By the way, we graduated in the same class. I was just joking in the green room with him. I'm like, I think we had the greatest chiropractic class of all time, but that's just our opinion, and we both agree on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we met Palmer and we graduated in 2008, and that's how I've known you ever since. But how'd you get there?
Yeah, there's consensus. That was the greatest chiropractic class ever.
It's consensus, yep.
But I was working as an engineer at this fire protection agency, blah, blah. And basically, I was in the back helping out some guys. I lifted this heavy thing. Boom, my back goes out. So I saw a chiropractor for low back pain. And what got me into chiropractic, and this was in the Chicago area. So I'm seeing this like young chiropractor, empty practice because she wasn't marketing. But so she had a lot of time for me. I was seeing her 3 times a week for 9 weeks. And it was only like 2 minutes, to get checked and corrected. But the appointments went really long because she had time to shoot the breeze, and she knew I had a degree in philosophy. So she's telling me she also studied philosophy. And that's how we got talking about chiropractic. And long story short, I never saw a study, a research article, proof, whatever. But it was the deductive conclusions, the sound, like the premises, the conclusion, everything about chiropractic to me. It just hit home. I couldn't argue with it anymore. I was looking for all these different fallacies and inner logic, but it was just deductively valid. And I was like, this is it. I had a degree in biology, degree in philosophy. I thought, this is what I'm going to do. So I remember telling her that day, I'm quitting my job and I'm going to chiropractic school. And I told her I was going to go to National just because it was close. She about had a heart attack, and she's like, no, you're going to Palmer. So, and that's where I went, and that's how I met you. I started class. We started in November of 2004, I believe.
Yeah.
That was like 4 months after my first correction. That's how I got into chiropractic.
That's awesome. Yeah, chiropractic finds you. You don't find chiropractic. It's pretty cool. I believe that. Awesome, man. And now we come a long way. You moved to the Netherlands, and we're not going to brag, but he's got 22 locations now across the EU. From Cyprus all the way to the UK, but mainly in the Netherlands, which is super cool. I got to get out there and check that out. But let's talk about it. Where are we going with chiropractic? I mean, I feel like it's like the old grandpa. I don't know if your grandpa used to do this and be like, he was warning you about the end of time. And now you're turning into I am at least turning into, a grandpa. And, and it's like, I'm still waiting for the end of times, but I don't want to be that type of person that's always like, the profession is falling apart. The profession's falling apart. But if you've done it long enough, like you and I, almost 17 years here, it is falling apart. And let's talk about this because there are young chiropractors graduating right now, getting into the profession that don't know, where this thing is going. So let's talk about that today. Let's kind of stir the pot. And where do you see it? Where do you see, where have we come and where are we going?
Oh man, that's a big question. But,
huge.
I'll try. That's something that's tough to try and put in a concise answer.
Yeah.
But I'll say, it's funny you asked about my origins, how I got into chiropractic, and I would say that is very relevant to where the profession is going in the only way that it will survive, and that is from its most defensible position. And the most defensible position, legally, politically, financially, market-wise, according to reason and logic, which I wrote a bestseller on, that the most defensible position for chiropractic and its only hope for survival is the objective, straight philosophy or perspective. That's if you read Joe Strauss's book, which I called Refined by Fire, which I'd recommend to everyone. If you want to know where we're going, you need to look at where we've come from. And the book Refined by Fire is, right now, that is the most comprehensive take on all of the failures and successes of this profession in a legal and political perspective. So if you want to know what strategies are successful, which ones wins, and which ones cost us, you just need to read that book. And then you look at today, the state of the profession as it is, and you can see the numerous mistakes that we're making and the failures of so many old and young chiropractors. And then, of course, I can deliberate on all sorts of those reasons why. And I would say the main one is, or the one I just discussed, I just got off a philosophy call. We do weekly philosophy calls with my team on a big Zoom call every Friday for a half hour. And we just got done talking about this because there's just yet another, it never gets old, attack from subluxation deniers. And it's really interesting. I mean, it's a very documented phenomenon. I mean, even the first definition written in 1821 is almost identical to Stevenson's definition, nearly identical, written by Harrison, a medical doctor. The definition of subluxation is near identical. The bone, the nerve, diverse health problems, it's the same. Yet for some reason, we want to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah, Dede and Palmer, or the Palmers didn't invent chiropractic. They took prior knowledge about human physiology and applied it into a study. I mean, people think this was an invention that came up one day because, unbelievable. Yeah, keep going. You're doing great.
Exactly, mate. I'm glad we went to school there then. I don't know if I can't honestly tell you I'd go there now.
Agreed.
If I were to go anywhere now, it'd be Sherman for sure. But put the chiropractic philosophy aside just for a minute and only look at the physiology. Nervous system. Your life is lived through your nervous system. Everything you experience is through sensory nerves. Everything you do is through motor nerves. Your life is, and the quality of it depends on the quality of that nervous system. And the most important part, the central nervous system, is protected by bones, the skull and the spine. That protects the brain and the spinal cord. So their function is to protect this most delicate thing that you experience all of life through. So it would behoove you to make sure that that spine is healthy and not in any way dysfunction, meaning not performing its function, to protect the nervous system, to not put pressure on the nerve and interfere with the transmission of its vital signals. That alone is enough clinical basis to support the necessity of this profession, right? And it has nothing to do with philosophy. This is just sound, consistent, physiological and anatomical principles. That alone justifies this profession, its existence, right?
Right.
Now, simply because some people, as what's happened all throughout history with Einstein, Isaac Newton, Rene Descartes, Pythagoras, it doesn't matter. There are always inquiring minds that want to understand things at a deeper level. That's what philosophy is. And so, for whatever reason, some very intelligent, scholarly people, they want to go further than that, and they want to investigate it. What's the connection between the mind and the body and the matter and the intelligence and how this all works and how, right? They just want to understand on a deeper level. That's it. So they began this investigation. And because it's too far out for some people, they want to throw out the baby with the bathwater. We're going to get rid of all that physiological fact because some people are pursuing and deliberating and thinking about other ideas, which have nothing, it doesn't matter. You can still be successful in clinical practice. There's still an incredible justification for the practice of chiropractic to locate, analyze, correct vertebral subluxation, regardless of the philosophy. I personally enjoy the philosophy. I think it gives you incredible confidence, certainty. It's empowering. Because people just don't even think anymore, by the way. Mm-hmm. They just listen to the authorities. Well, the experts say, the authority, you might as well just say, I'm being told what to think. Every time you go, trust the science, or the experts say, you just may as well replace that with, I don't think for myself. But it's also the same, unfortunately, with many of the people in our profession. I would call them the traditional straights, right? Joe Strauss would call them that too. That they don't challenge any of the philosophy and principles. They certainly support it, but they've never bothered to investigate it. They're just as guilty as what Macaulay calls the dismissivists. They just dismiss the philosophy. The traditional straights, they accept the philosophy, but they've never looked into it, bothered to understand it. They just shout, you know them. They shout the bumper sticker philosophies, right? Power made by, heals by, that stuff.
Right.
they use, unfortunately, they use all this lexicon and language, and they do it, and because they don't understand it, whenever they're challenged, they can't defend it, so they make the whole thing, chiropractic philosophy, look silly and stupid, and that gives weaponry to those that would love to get rid of this philosophy, the bathwater. However, they also want to throw out the baby, which is the physiological connection between quality of life, nervous system, spine. Very simple thing. They want to throw all of it out. And that's where I think the profession's going. If we don't focus on that very discernible difference between us and every other profession, which, by the way, is very helpful in marketing, right? If I have to market my practice, what I do, and the services I offer, if they're identical in every way to a massage therapist, physical therapist, and everyone else that diagnoses and treats musculoskeletal conditions, so that you're going to invest a lot into marketing, and it's going to get a very poor return on investment. However, if you just that marketing dollar in something that is a unique niche, that is clearly definable, discernible, and a deductively valid conclusion, well, then you're getting a big ROI on your marketing, in my opinion.
100%.
Right?
Mm-hmm. The biggest thing I see right now with the people that we help is that we are getting more leads. This is the whole marketing thing right now is leads, right? We're getting more attention to chiropractic than ever before. We are getting more leads to chiropractic, and I know it because the numbers all show across the US, Canada, EU, because of social media. It's been absolutely fantastic. Chiropractors are getting 20, 30, 40 new patients a month, which Sid Williams would have been rolling around happy with that back then because of these leads, but because the message is very muddy. They all need more leads. They're like, oh, this marketing isn't working. I'm like, are you kidding me? You just talked to 44 people. Like, how is this? Because the message is just not clear. And if you talk to any chiropractor that's been in business for more than 2 years and say, who's your ideal client? The one that refers everybody on the block, the one that raves about you, the one that leaves the reviews, the one that shows up to your events. And who are they? The ones that believe you treat muscular conditions? It's not going to be that person, right? So the message underlying for every chiropractor, no matter how you want to label yourself, and I think a lot of the newer chiros don't even know, traditional straight chiropractic mix. Doesn't matter how you want to label yourself or how others label you. It's at the end of the day, you get to talk to people. And if you deviate from the message, and Travis is going to hit a home run by the end of this podcast, is if you deviate this message, you're going to traction for the rest of your life. You're going to spin your wheels for the rest of your career. Yeah. And you're going to regret being a chiropractor, which unfortunately a lot of people are like, man, this is a tough gig. I'm like, I love this gig. I don't know about you, but this is not, there's no glory in the grind. You can't do anything, you can't do anything forever without any grind. So keep going. But I just wanted to add that in. I mean, the leads now are more than ever before because of the reach that we have because of social media, but the message is so diluted. Come in for weight loss, come in for shockwave, come in for acupuncture. I'm like, and you're not even the one doing the acupuncture. Like, what's happening here? You're confusing all this asset that you're building in the community by getting your voice out there, when really you should be like, come on in, remove subluxation so that you can restore health and balance in your life for now and forever. That should be the base message. Then build up off of that once they come into your office, right? So
we can reverse engineer, like just going off what you just said. So we're chiropractors, so we want to get to the cause. And what you observe about the message is fucked up. Let's say, I don't know if I can cuss on this thing, but so the message, if the message is bad, which it is, I mean, if you're talking about all this, you're not talking about chiropractic. So let's go back. You're 100% correct, right? And we all observe there is a bad message going on. A poor message comes from what? A poor understanding. And that is the biggest issue. The chiropractic schools right now, but besides Sherman and New Zealand, Australia, there's some good ones out there, but they're far and few in between. There's a bad message because how can you deliver a clear, concise message on something you don't understand. So
Yeah.
this is a product of a poor education. And sadly, in America, this is a real shame. There should be a class action lawsuit, honestly. The amount of money that's invested, that a student will invest in their education, and then they come out and they can't even define chiropractic. How can I get an understanding of something? I don't even know what it is. I can't even define it. If I were to ask 1,000 chiropractors in America, recent graduates, what is chiropractic? They're going to scramble around. Well, it's about this. And then the definitions, I go, that sounds like the definition of physical therapy. That sounds like the definition of an orthopedic specialist. That sounds like none of those define chiropractic. So if you have no knowledge, you can't define your terms, you lack knowledge. Well, you can't understand something you don't know. And without the understanding, how do you deliver a message? So it goes all the way back. What we're seeing right now is the result or the outcome. These are the effects, like Principle 17, the law of cause and effect. This is the effect. That has a cause. And the cause is no knowledge. If you don't know something, you don't understand it. And if you don't understand it, how are you gonna deliver a message on it?
Right.
It's that simple.
It's that simple.
It's a real shame because those that do understand, and this is why, like I was saying before, you don't have to get all deep into the philosophy. In fact, it's not required at all to be a clinical expert and to get results. However, what happens as a result or a byproduct when you do immerse yourself in the philosophy, what happens is your understanding, it gets a depth and a breadth, and it makes it sturdier. Like during the storm, here's the thing. We all love I've heard this before, we all love the flowers of chiropractic. But then comes winter. You're shit out of luck, man. You got to be in touch with its roots. Here in the Netherlands, every time we get like a windy, very windy day, like in Eindhoven where I live, man, every windy storm I see like a new tree falls over. And it's because the roots are not deep. Mm-hmm. The smallest wind takes them down. And chiropractors, a little bit of resistance, a little bit of conflict, they buckle. But those with deep roots, broad roots, when that tree stands steady, steadfast. And those are the chiropractors with a deeper understanding. That's what the philosophy to me means. Right? I understand these things at a deeper level. And the thing is, I'm still studying, Enrico. I started doing the diplomate program for philosophy at Sherman. And someone said to me, what are you doing that for? You wrote a book on philosophy, you got a degree in philosophy. Because I'm still learning. I want more depth, more breadth in my own understanding because I'm aware of how much it serves me. So when I give a message, it has an ROI. When I'm challenged, when I get all these leads like you were talking about, they're not pissed away. Leads cost money.
Yes, man, this is great. Okay. Yeah, you nailed it. It's all about your knowledge. So, and that's where we're spinning our tires in this profession. And I'm coming in from a marketing perspective because I think it's very relatable. I think everyone has to do it. If you're a chiropractor, you have to get new patients. So, but if you want to stop spinning your tires, you have to have a consent message. And it's amazing how my content gets eaten. It's not my content. It's marketing content. It's business content. It's CEO content. I did not make up anything. But when you tell and teach about this stuff, they eat it up. We say, hey, stick to the message of chiropractic, the only message of chiropractic. The room goes quiet. Create a unique selling proposition of your business. Everyone's like, oh, teach me that. What does that mean? I'm like, it's the exact same thing as the chiropractic message.
Yeah.
And they're like, I don't know what my unique selling proposition is.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that's the biggest problem we have in our profession. How are you going to market? How are you going to build anything without a unique selling proposition? If you choose to make up a unique selling proposition with no philosophy, guess what it's going to be? We're going to do something silly. We're going to get ourselves into trouble. We're going to start pushing stem cells. We're going to start pushing injectables and B12s. And you're going to cross lines that are going to get you into trouble. And you're going to buy the shiny things that are not supposed to really be in your practice and going to actually set you back.
Yeah.
So, and guilty, as a fairly straight chiropractor, guilty myself to get distracted to see what we could leverage in the business and try to appeal to the other masses that we don't even enjoy serving.
Yeah.
That's it. And you get into this place where you're incongruent, and guess what comes with incongruency? Not only destruction, but anxiety, depression, fatigue, because you just don't want to be in that position. You don't want to be doing this anymore.
Yeah.
Even with the current marketing, the number one client I get is like, I'm tired of my marketing agency. All these leads, they're bad leads. I'm like, they're not bad leads. You have a bad message, and you're sick and tired of telling the bad message.
Yeah.
It's like the universe telling you to stop doing what you're doing. Otherwise, the lessons are just going to become bigger and harder.
Exactly.
Oh man, it's just this whole thing. So this is a great breath of fresh air here with the message. Let's get into the message. I mean, for the newer grads that, wherever they graduate, I just got one from National, she's been with us for 3 years. We got one that just came from Northwestern. Great. Weird. Florida's weird, man. I'm in a new zone. I'm not Floridian, and you've got everybody from all walks of life here. And I've never worked with somebody from National, never worked from somebody from Northwestern. It's always been Palmer, CMCC, and Life. I mean, that's all I've ever dealt with. And we never hired the CMCC people. But the point of that is that they come with, and they don't know. They honestly don't know what they're doing. They're just happy to be done the program. They're unhappy about their debt, and they're ready to get started with their life. So how do we teach, or what's the message that they should start off with? And what's principle number 3, actually, 1, 2, and 3, but what's principle number 3 to really just start moving forward with your career?
Well, of the 33 principles, the third principle is the union of intelligence and matter.
Right.
But I want to go back to what you said about like stem cells, injectables, all that stuff.
Right.
To be very clear, I think I have nothing against any of those things. I don't have anything against kinesio tape or whatever.
No.
But what I do have an issue with, and you brought this up earlier too, and it was a very good point. I do have a problem with the conflation of those things with chiropractic. That is not chiropractic. Chiropractic is simply the location, analysis, correction of vertebral subluxation. It's defined by its objective, not the results it gets, not what you hope to happen, not what you have in your office. I don't mind any of those things. I mean, some of them are great, but the problem is with such a lack of understanding, and with lack of understanding comes uncertainty. And if you're not certain, you lose confidence. And so you become desperate. And that's what leads to a lot of those things. So again, I don't have a problem with those things, but it's very hard for the practitioner that lacks understanding. It's very difficult for them to separate the two. I have a lot of colleagues that do that stuff, and great. However, many of them, their understanding is so deep that there is no conflation. This is chiropractic, and it's pure chiropractic. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can do those things. We offer those in the building next door or in the other room there. But this is chiropractic. This is the objective. This is what we do. We locate, analyze, and correct vertebral subluxation. Period. That's it. For the objective, to simply remove the interference of the transmission of vital messages. That's it.
Right. And you touched earlier about, we call them the subluxation deniers, but there is truly a group or two groups that are out to really ruin this. And they have been for about 45 years into the school systems, and they're on the national board system where they've omitted this from the curriculum. It's no longer in there. We're not analyzing, locating, and correcting subluxation. So if you don't think this has been infiltrated, it totally has been. And it's not some conspiracy theory about taking over the world. It's the agenda to try and take that out of that, because once you take that out of this, chiropractic is nothing. And it can be then absorbed by everything else. And if you look at the market around the world, everything has been absorbed. Your local mom and pop doctor's offices no longer exist. They have been absorbed. They were the first ones to be absorbed. Even in the social countries of Italy, Netherlands, Canada, they are absorbed. They were actually absorbed before the United States. Then you look at other things, PTs. They're very rarely a mom and pop PT option. They have all been medically conglomerated. Chiropractic, and luckily from the inside out, has done it to themselves with things like the joint, which is great because they control it, which is fantastic. But that is it. That's the last piece of this keystone to the bridge, that if that falls, we will be absorbed into DO, MD, gone. It'll just be gone. You just get a DC license, and a lot of these schools won't survive. So that's what Travis and I are getting on this for right now. Be like, hey, folks, we're not crying wolf anymore. There's freaking wolves out there. Like, we're not joking. They're here. Yeah.
Yeah. What does it take for us to acknowledge that we're in the 11th hour? I mean, this is like action needs to be taken, and that's a good place to actually take this discussion. Is okay. So what do you do? Like, we can't just sit here and cry wolf and not offer any solutions. But I can tell you, and by the way, I'll offer up some solutions. But just like chiropractic care, once you reduce or correct the subluxation, I can't say what the results will be for you. Right? I just know that you're better off without them. And I can say about this profession, we are better off if we understand the philosophy and accept the objective of chiropractic. And you take all the principles you know simply about life and health. If you have children and you love them, however, if you stop feeding them, they'll die.
Right.
Okay. I love this profession. Many people benefit from this profession. They're constantly taking from it. Their entire livelihood comes from this profession. Without it, they'd be, I don't know, selling vacuum cleaners or whatever. This profession, if you don't have it, there's, like we were saying before in the green room, there's nothing to market. There's nothing like, and there's just too many people taking and taking and taking it from this profession. That is unsustainable. And if you're wondering why it's going in that direction, it's because everyone is taking a bite of it and no one is feeding it. And the way to feed it is well, I can't do anything. Poor me. You can join the IFCO. Become a member of the IFCO. Anyone making over 50 grand a year, which is, that's as a chiropractor, you better be making over 50 grand a year. Then you have no excuse to not be a member of the IFCO. You wonder why the other side's winning? Because the WFC and all these like subluxation, they have incredible resources. Meanwhile, we get so comfortable complaining, making excuses, being victims. Oh, no, in the schools and this and that. Well, what schools do you support? Do you support Matt McCoy and the Foundation for Vertebral Subluxation? Are you with Chiro Futures? Matt McCoy? There's no one blowing the whistle harder than Matt McCoy has been doing for the last 10 years.
God,
and how many people
yells to an empty crowd?
Yeah. How many people support him? And all the research on vertebral subluxation. How many people are in the IFCO? The only organization that supports single focus. Protect the objective. The ability to locate, analyze, correct vertebral subluxation. You lose that, you are no different than a occupational therapist, pretty much.
Right. And Travis and I are not saying you need to change your practice on Monday.
No.
What we're saying is you need to change your message back to the roots and build stronger roots. Keep doing what you're doing. Use the red light table. Do weight loss for your patients. Do nutrition. I mean, do everything. Help them get better.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, build the stronger roots.
Yeah.
Right?
And feed this profession.
Yeah.
It's the gold goose that lays all your eggs. Feed it. So if you're not putting money into research, into publications, into the organizations, all the ones that support the thing that keeps us unique, separate, and different, then what are you doing? You can't complain out of one side of your mouth that like, oh man, I love chiropractic, but you don't feed it. That's like you, Enrico, saying, I love my children, but I don't feed them.
Right.
Crazy, right?
Crazy.
There's so many people in this profession, they're just blowing smoke out of your eyes. And then the other ones who like will tell you that they're doing so much, but all they're doing is getting on stage and shouting love, 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 light, 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 love. Where is your strategy? Because I don't see any. I just see like these fizz fests where you go and you feel good and it's all great. We're going to serve the masses. Well, you won't be serving them long when they take this profession away. So
we lose the message. We
money.
Lose everything.
Yeah, they're all happy buying big houses and this, that, but you can't give $50 a month to the IFCO. You can't sign up and be a member of the Foundation for Vertebral Subluxation with Matt McCoy, which, by the way, and get loads of research and data and case studies and information. Subscribe to Pros Point. Stay up to date with what's going on in this profession. Don't sit in the dark. Read, I would recommend this too. Just read Refined by Fire by Joe Strapp. Read that book and see what's happened. throughout history. It's the most comprehensive text on every legal and political success and failure of chiropractic since its inception to now. And if you're curious about what the winning strategies are to go forward, or the ones that keep screwing us over, just read that book. It is incredible. The answers are there, but you can have the greatest system in the world. If there's no one to apply force or energy into the system, it fails anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Really important. And then once you're done refined by fire, I mean, you got to get Restoring Reason. You get that on Amazon. Travis wrote that a few years ago. Great book. I highly recommend it. I mean, if you truly are struggling in practice, or maybe here's the biggest, you know who's struggling the most? People doing $1 million or more a year. This is my clients. This is every 1 out of every 2 that calls me. And I look at them like, what do you want me to do for you? You're doing great. He's like, I'm just tired. I'm exhausted of just burning through these leads that are coming in and needing to do, and they've got their entire, and just slowly, I just show them the picture of how their practice has just inversed. It really just, they started off on fire. And as the 15 years has gone by, it's just completely flipped like a pyramid on its tip. And I'm like, that's why, because look at, you're all funneling from this community leads, and the message is gone. The roots are inverted. Like what do you do? I don't even know what you're doing. Doing $45 exams. That's great. I mean, that's a great sales strategy, but no wonder you're burnt out. Yeah. And if that's where your number one source of leads are coming from, you're going to burn yourself out. And he's like, what's your best lead that comes in from outside in? Google. They search for you. They find you. I'm like, how much are you investing into Google? And it's a fraction of what they do. I'm like, do you think maybe we should really work on this Google thing? And within like 6 weeks, we've got their practice flipped. The pyramid's flipped. And they're like, holy smokes, I used to get, 4 new patients from Google. Now we get 11. And 10 out of 11 signed my $3,800 care plan. I'm like, well, that's a way better business model. And what are you doing in that care plan? Adjusting. That's it. They took out the modalities. They took out everything else. I'm like, do you enjoy working again? And they do. And I'm guilty of it too. As the years go by and you get successful, right? You start trying, you try and do different things. It's called scaling in the business world. Like you started a clinic. You loved what you did. You did a really great job. You opened up a second one to help a different community close by. And then now the country's scattered. You pretty much got the Netherlands covered. And now where is he? He's everywhere. He's in the UK. He's in Cyprus. He's in Italy. I mean, that's what ends up happening. But it's because it's a reproducible model that, trust me, Travis is not going to sit here and be like, I wish we didn't open up that second location in Italy.
We have a very clean, objective, straight method. That's all we do. It's just objective, straight.
That's it.
We only do chiropractic. And it's based on the objective.
Yeah.
You come in, we measure your nervous system, how it's functioning. We use Dave Fletcher's CLA.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we use. Check them every 12 visits. And they are there checked, pre and post checks, every correction. Just do chiropractic to reduce subluxation, correct subluxation. That's it. That's all we do. It's a very simple thing. It's not overly complicated. There's not a lot of working parts. It makes scaling very easy, right? The biggest issue with scaling is just people and their personal stuff going on. That's it, right? And that's going to be there all the time regardless, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to have to deal with that anyway. The other things should be as simple as possible. And it's crazy that some people, by the way, like those cheap intake. I don't even have anything wrong with cheap intakes. You open a brand new office and you want to get it rolling. Man, I would be offering stuff like that the whole first couple of years, or at least on the capacity, and especially if it's a new chiro, until they learn how to deliver the message and they got good retention strategies. Mm-hmm. You should get to the point where those are no longer necessary, but you want to get busy quick, get to capacity, but that's not what you want to use to stay there, because then you've got what you're talking about, that leaky bucket. You get to capacity, then your focus should be more on you can afford better leads and you don't have to give away those discounts. And there should be strategies in a community in place where they're staying anyway. You've heard this before. It's just cheaper to keep the clients you have than to constantly fish for new ones. Right?
100%. Good stuff, man. Anything else? Any last closing things for all these chiros listening?
Just that I love and appreciate you, buddy.
Yeah, no, you too. Thanks for doing this. Appreciate it. Yeah. This was great. Catch Travis is a great resource, by the way. So if it's anything, find him on Facebook, add him as a friend, as the simplest thing as a chiropractor. Follow what he does. It's cool stuff. And now that the world has kind of opened up again, you may actually see him, because I haven't seen him since 2019. So that'd be great, man. Thanks for being here. Appreciate you.
Pleasure, buddy.
Yeah.
See you, Enrico. Bye-bye.